But you were in Dublin this morning because we're talking about redistricting. This conversation's coming up yet again.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, it's been, I think a back and forth thing for a while. And, many parents had a lot to say about it the last time this happened, which was a little bit later in the year last year, back in the fall. We did a lot of stories about it, going out there, speaking to parents, speaking with the district. And it just felt like, no one really knew how this was going to play out. And I think at this point, so back in the fall, just to recap, they said they were going to do some focus groups. They were going to kind of look at things a little bit closer, bring in some outside sources, look at things. They've done that at this point. So tonight is really where they're going to kind of present what they've learned. And I guess we'll just see what they have to say.
Because parents are going to be fired up.
It's about redistricting students between the 3 Dublin high schools.
Yes, it's the high schools.
And I know the one that's been the big point of the one that has been, the most crowded is Dublin Scioto, which is the one that's on
Hard Road.
Yeah, Hard Road.
Battle Hard Road, Worthington, Kilbourne, and that's how I remember.
She's in hometown.
I know. Jeez, woo, it's coming out of me. Yeah. No. So, and then a lot of people, Jerome's a great school as well. And I feel like one of the neighborhoods that we've focused on a lot, they are getting possibly redistrict into Kaufman. So it's a lot of moving parts right now.
Yeah.
Obviously, the district is growing. A lot of people want to move to Dublin. They want to have their kids in that school system, but they are really just trying to figure out how to meet the demand of all these kids coming into the district.
Scioto is the high school that gets a lot of the I live
it's like the sawmill
I pay
area.
Columbus taxes but live in the Dublin school district. Right. That is where a lot of those kids go.
It's similar to Worthington Kilbourne in that aspect. It's like you're paying Columbus taxes, but you're in Worthington schools technically.
Yeah.
So people love it. They want to buy the houses over there. They want to take advantage of that.
Huge boom there.
There's also that area that's kind of on the verge of Plain City in Dublin almost. That's really growing. So that's also a little bit pushing into this problem.
Right. This is a district
people get those tax breaks too.
Right. We've seen Dublin already kind of grow and work with what they've got. They turned that old office building into the Emerald campus that is one of their high school, it's like
where I was this morning.
Focus high schools. Yeah. So it's interesting, and you heard a little bit from parents on this, when you were putting your story together this morning, it is a contentious issue.
Yeah. And I think naturally it's going to be, just because it is where my kid goes to school. And a lot of these families, buy a home in a certain area knowing, okay, when they turn, high school age, they're going to go here. And now that might not be the case in certain areas. So I think that's where the, passion is coming from, obviously. Tonight is going to, kind of be just the groundwork. I want to say the most unbiased, opinions we're going to get on this topic, just from these focus groups themselves. It is not a public, public discussion meeting. I think those were very well attended last year, and we heard some, really passionate parents at that. So that is not what tonight is. It's just kind of a presentation form, but I'm sure even so we'll have parents with things to say come 24 hours from now.
This is what one of the parents had to say. Zenobia is going to get this queued up for us.
It absolutely has divided Dublin parents, and that's the other thing about the process that I think has been a misstep.
And this was an incredibly contentious topic last year. And as you mentioned, it goes down to, we moved into that. I know that's like, there's parents who are like, well, I moved to this area so my kid could go to Kaufman, but now they might not go to Kaufman.
Right. And then I know some parents we've spoken to as well, they're like, my kids are in this elementary school or middle school with these group of kids.
The kids,
So then if they split it up and divide it, it kind of ruins that experience for their children or like their friends. And if one child goes to one and the other goes to another, a sibling goes to another.
Neighborhood. Like if you've got a carpool situation going on, you want to carry that into high school. Like, I understand.
I guess I went to a small enough school. Like it was K through 12. Just walk from one end of the hall to the other.
Oh, really?
So it was like,
oh my God!
It was just.
How many kids graduated in your?
We were the big class at like 110.
The big class.
Big class.
Yeah, the other classes around us were like 80.
Dublin has hundreds. Yeah, they got to get this figured out. So, when does this have to be officially decided upon?
I don't know if they have an exact date yet. It sounds like because they've pushed it off. They don't want to rush it, is what they are saying. So that's the reason this was postponed last fall. They were like, we don't want to decide by the end of this semester or whatever it may be. We want to get this right, and that was what the thought behind the focus groups was.
I wonder when another school will be added.
Right. You know, and that
I don't mean to put that out in the universe, but that's what Olatanji's been doing, building.
I mean, Delaware's talking about building another one.
They're going to have to, I mean, we're going to see this in other districts. Like, I don't think it's a secret. This is happening in Dublin right now. It could be happening somewhere else 3 years from now.
Right. Every school district right now is trying to figure out how do we put more people where. I mean, Taze Valley has been talking about, their levies keep failing, but they need to expand, or the district says they do. Grandview Heights just added all of these mobile units because they're out of space.
Yeah.
All of these districts are here in Central Ohio are continuing to run out of space.
And I feel like Dublin, though, because of where it's located with Plain City, they do have the ability to build further out and keep growing.
Yeah,
but that's when it kind of gets into Marysville, Plain City.
Right.
Where do we put
Jonathan
this?
Alder's district.
Right. Where do we put this other building if they were to come to that conclusion? But just a lot of parents are upset about it because obviously buying a home is a huge financial decision, and you're thinking about your family when you do that.
It's not a cheap venture anymore.
And you're thinking about taxes, and you want your kids to go to the school that you want. So, thank you, Amy.
Yeah, I'm happy to come anytime.